Tonight on News 3 at 10, political reporter Jessica Arp travels to Iowa to assess Governor Scott Walker's potential as a presidential candidate.
The Iowa caucuses, to be held a year from next January, give the country the first true test of presidential hopefuls. Governor Walker's presidential ambitions remain a constant source of speculation in the world of politics.
Politico magazine today headlined a story, Scott Walker plots 2016 rollout, reporting that the governor is taking active steps that would launch next summer. It reports that he is keeping on most of the key advisors from his past governor's race to run the national campaign. Our own political advisor, the director of the Marquette Law School poll, Professor Charles Franklin, is here to help put this in some perspective. Good to see you, Charles.
Good to see you.
So if Governor Walker decides to run for president, when would we expect an announcement about that?
You know, these things usually roll out in stages. It's moving really fast right now, but in that Politico piece today, the discussion was of late summer as an official announcement. That makes sense for state politics. It would be after the budget is settled, probably in late June. But there've got to be a lot of steps leading up to that because the modern presidential campaign can't wait till 2016 to get started. You need staff, and again, that article mentioned some staff here, but you also need to be recruiting county chairs throughout Iowa, where it really matters to be locally organized, and making friends in New Hampshire as well. So there'll have to be a lot of movement in this, I think, well before an official announcement, even if that waits until later in the summer.
But it appears he may be taking some preliminary steps.
Oh, the rush of articles about this have gone along with some changes in the way he talks about it from during the campaign, where he, like any candidate for another office, was very reluctant to say anything and stressed that he had a 4-year plan for Wisconsin, was planning to be elected governor for 4 years. But you saw a pivot to talking more about national issues on election night in his victory speech.
A lot of Americas in that.
Exactly, and lots of flags in the background. Then on Sunday, on one of the network Sunday morning shows, he again stressed something that he had said before, which is how important it is for governors with experience in being in an executive office and not being part of the Washington problem. And then he allowed that maybe Paul Ryan was the one exception that might be acceptable. So you see the change. And then this article today is by far the most explicit article, even though it doesn't quote the governor directly, except as saying that you'd have to be a little crazy to run and you'd have to feel a calling. Well, he hasn't said he's gotten the call yet, but his phone might be ringing.
You know, he appeared on 4 national talk shows last week, most centered on whether he was going to run. Here's what he said on MSNBC.
Anybody who's been close to that realizes just the tremendous sacrifice it puts on you and your family and the people around you. But it's one of those where if you feel called to, right now I feel called to be governor, but at some point in the future, 2, 6, 12 years from now, who knows, we could be called to do that.
If he does feel that calling that you just talked about, what do you think are the things that he has going for him, and what would be his challenges on a national stage?
Sure. On the national scene, what he has going for him is, first, he's already established a nationwide donor base that grew out of the recall election, in fact, where he raised a lot of money nationwide. And he has some strong support among the Republican activists and conservative activists around the country, and perhaps some of the really large money supporters, though that remains to be seen. The negatives are he's not actually widely known outside the state. That's hard for us to believe. But in the public opinion polling nationwide, he struggles to get even a 50% name recognition at this point. So he's polling in the questions these days at about 5 or 6% first choice for president. In many ways, that's irrelevant at this stage because this is a game for insiders, the party activists right now, which is where he's strong. The other side is he's very widely supported among social conservatives and also very acceptable to business people within the party. So those two constituencies in the GOP, very strong. He's probably acceptable to the Tea Party without being a Ted Cruz kind of Tea Party activist that has its pluses but also its minuses. So a lot of people see Walker as, at the very least, a great second choice for a lot of people.
Here it is, November 2014, and we're talking the presidential race 2016.
Didn't take too long,
No, it
did it?
didn't. Good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving.
To
Good to
you.
see you,
Thanks,
Charles.
Charles. We'll see you soon.